So we are here at the World Autism Summit with Mr. Bill Macdonald, and he has been a corporate and securities lawyer for 25 years, and he's based in British Columbia, Canada. And he started a large regional firm and then starting his own boutique practice in 2008. He's licensed to practice in British Columbia and the state of New York. Mr. Macdonald has been a director or officer of numerous companies in a variety of industries over the years, and for the last 10 years, to April of 2023, was a director and then chairman of the Connects Autism Network, a not-for-profit based in Vancouver that provides sports, recreational, and vocational opportunities to families living with autism. 4 years ago, with a partner, he founded AKIVA Systems, Inc. AKIVA is a startup technology company that is using cutting-edge virtual reality technology with artificial intelligence analytics to deliver more accessible and affordable education, training, and therapy to children and families living with ASD, and to provide practitioners with a tool to be more effective in their delivery of services. So welcome, Bill. Thank you for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me. Pleasure's all mine.
Yes, it's really wonderful to have you here. And I am so glad that you are also helping us to move the needle of understanding and success for people on the autism and neurodiversity spectrum. So tell me what has inspired you to be part of our summit?
Well, it really comes down to a personal connection to the cause, right? My youngest son has autism. He's youngest, he's 19 now, just graduated high school, so not that young anymore. But oftentimes we get involved in this cause because of that personal connection, and I was no different. So having grown up with it with him and his trials and tribulations, and us dealing with it as a family, I just got more and more integrated into the world of autism. So much so that ended up starting the company that you just mentioned, AKIVA Systems, and then having a chance to meet you lovely folk, and then having the opportunity to get involved in the summit. So anything that I can do to raise the awareness and advance the cause, I'm all for.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you're making a really big impact from the stories you've been sending me and telling me all about in the Kiva world and everything that you're doing. So how do you plan on making the biggest impact in your area of expertise globally?
Well, certainly globally is a key word for us. The problem doesn't know borders, it doesn't know regions, it doesn't know languages, it doesn't know cultures. It's a problem that affects these children. So having a solution like AKIVA that is, if you have access to Wi-Fi, you've got access to our platform, and a very good platform for therapy, education, and training for kids living with autism. So the goal for us is obviously starting on a regional basis because this is our backyard, but we certainly want to be able to help kids and families on a global basis, regardless of language, regardless of socioeconomic or geographic circumstances. We want to have them to have access to our system. There shouldn't be any barriers of entry wherever they are, provided they have good Wi-Fi. So that's the goal, is to have this in the hands of all kids that need them, that need it, and can't otherwise afford a traditional approach, or are pursuing a traditional approach, but would like another tool to add to that, something that's more flexible and cost effective. So that's the goal, is to basically democratize access locally, regionally, globally to a system like ours.
And I know we've talked about different ways that people can have cooperative paying systems in place too, like we did talk.
Yeah, certainly. We're fundamentally a subscription-based system. So you pay a monthly subscription fee. It's a little bit different for our B2B customers, but really we've priced it to be a very affordable option for families. We don't want that to be a barrier of entry in any way. And partnering with not-for-profits is a key part of our business strategy, because that's really why we got into it in the first place. Not so much as the business in and of itself, which it has been and will be a great business, but really to help as many as we can. And if that's partnering with not-for-profits to make sure that we can deliver that at all levels, then that's what we're doing.
Nice. And what is your biggest why for what you do?
Well, why is really probably stems from my experiences as a parent going through the system with my son. and the frustrations that we had as a family, and the inefficiencies and the cost issues related to the current traditional system. So that's the why, is why does it have to be this way? Why can't we do a better job and be more responsive to these kids and their families by using the technology that's now become available? So that really is the why, is why can't we do better in delivering this to everybody that needs it?
That's great. That's so great. I know I've tried it too, and it's such a powerful, powerful system that I think everybody should be able to try it. Is there a way that people can just walk into some place and try it out just to experience something like this?
Well, we do have models that don't require the subscription. You do have to have a headset, to
Mhm.
be fair. The one we recommend is the Oculus Quest 2. So once you have that, you can acquire, well, we have a standalone library, which is not subscription based. So you can get all of our modules in a standalone library for just one upfront cost, and try them, as you will. You can try, different behavioral issues, different, coloring, analytics. You can do all sorts of logic things, all sorts of things that are often under the umbrella of ABA, but not necessarily. But you can try all these little bits and pieces in our library, and that's really user friendly.
So how can we set up systems of success in partner relationships globally?
Well, what we're trying to do locally and globally is exactly foster those partnerships with the right institutions, with the right practitioners, with the right, say, clinics, therapists, clinicians, those kind of partnerships, so we can get this into the hands of the people that they're servicing, to do a better job, allow them to do more with less, to improve the quality of their service delivery by being more flexible and efficient and accommodating for these kids and families, by using our platform to make sure that they can enable the success of their clients. And for parents to want to use it directly, not necessarily through a practitioner, to help them if they don't have the access to a traditional therapy process to use this within, that they can use this independently to try to get as much success as they can in whatever circumstances they're in.
I know you were doing some work in England. I saw a video
Yep.
of that.
We do. We have a substantial presence in the UK. We've got pending trials in various other countries around the world. The languages are not really an issue. The translation is quite easily done for us, given the technology that's available.
Mhm.
So we are launching. We have launched it in the biggest way in the United States, to a lesser extent in Canada, and probably England and the UK is going to become a fairly sizable market for us. But really, Australia is a large market that we're trying to get into. Europe in general, because the service level there is not what we see in North America. So
Mm.
in some of these countries, as much as the resources are there in terms of the funding is there, parents have the ability to pay for these things. They don't have the level of the services that we're accustomed to in North America. So we want to provide a tool in all these various countries to fill that gap, and to give them something as they're working for how they get something going, some kind of a program going for the child.
Do you have any personal experiences in the vocational employment area as it relates to autism?
Well, yeah, that's a very topical conversation around our household, because, as I mentioned, Aiden, our son, he's just graduated high school and he just turned 19 recently, and that's exactly the discussions that we're having as a family: is what does that look like for our son in terms of his vocational opportunities, his skill set, what further training or education is available, where does he fit? Because, like a lot of these other kids, he's undeniably has a skill set that
Mm.
needs to be matched in the right environment to the right employer in the right circumstances. And if we can accomplish that, he can accomplish great things and be happy and independent and contributing and all things that he wants to do. But it's just, how do we navigate that path? So we're certainly living with it personally. We're living through that right now.
Wow. How's that working?
It's a struggle, as many of us know, with kids in this age range. Is the services out there for vocation, because they come in so many different shapes and sizes.
Mhm.
So the vocational training or the ongoing education or job placement is all over the map, and depending on where you are and what systems you have, if any, available to you for that, it can be extremely frustrating, which is disheartening to some extent, because we know these kids have these skills, and we know that they can accomplish so much if they have the right opportunity.
That is so true. And it is disheartening, but there are so many opportunities. And as long as you match the person up with the right opportunity and people don't get in the way.
Well, exactly. And a big part of that is not just us, our job on the side of advocating for the kids. It's our job also to educate the employers out there
Oh, yeah.
about these opportunities and the potential that they have, that it's in their best interests, altruistically, but also from a business standpoint to take advantage of this opportunity.
Yeah, it's a hand holding, it's both sides. We do have to educate the employers and the parents, and the people. We have to educate everybody along the way. Trust me. What's the youngest person that can use this system?
Oh, we've had our system on 4 and 5 year olds quite readily. It's these days that the quality of the system, they're very lightweight, they're very user friendly, and we're not using it for gaming. So it's educational. So it doesn't have a lot of that gaming over sensory overload. It's a very nurturing environments that we've developed in VR. So yeah, we've had it on 4 year olds. We're focused right now on that kind of 5 to 10, so early intervention, early childhood things, speech and behavior, those types of areas, and then we're expanding to more traditional education for middle school kids, and then hopefully moving on, to vocational training, social emotional things for teens and young adults.
Okay, so anybody, basically.
Anybody, basically, yeah. That we're growing for anybody, but right now we're a little more skewed towards the younger demographic because we want to give parents that initial help, but we certainly want the system to be there for the kid from diagnosis all the way through to them becoming a teen and young adult and using it in a different fashion. Like I said, maybe for social emotional stuff, vocational training, all sorts of things.
Are there any sensory issues with them wearing the headset?
That's been very, very rare. If a child has a hang up with anything on their head, like even a hat or something, then it is difficult. And that's not so much of the environment. That's just the physicality of having the headset on. But that's been in extremely rare circumstances. And we've had kids that you'd have to characterize as relatively low functioning, and they've had no problem with it. Because it is, once you get it on, it is very immersive and nurturing and calming. So once they're on and they're in the VR, then it's all good. But it's sometimes just getting it on if they have that sensory issue with anything on their head. Yeah, that's a challenge. But like I said, it's been extremely rare that that's been the case.
Once they're in the zone, they're happy.
Yeah.
So what is it like, with having people that are non-speaking? It's fine?
Yeah, it's been fine. And actually, a lot of our modules, and we have sign language modules as well. So we have nonverbal communication in the system. So if they can understand their online avatar, so they can take in the information. They don't have to be verbal to participate. We do track verbal responses, but we track everything. So we track their eye gazing, we track their hand gestures, we track everything for how they're interacting in the session. So they don't have to be verbal to do that. And in fact, the plan was to start with nonverbal kids to get them to a stage where they can be verbal. So we want this to be a tool for speech therapists and speech pathologists to enable them to do that.
Okay. So what about social interaction? We talk about social interaction for people that are autistic, that to get along with other kids and have friends and everything. Does that have any effect? Like some parents might say, oh, well, they're just getting in their own little silos and all that kind of stuff,
Well, we have social interaction modules. So we do have things like emotional recognition and empathy and sympathy exercises. So we have that training in there, but it's really on the training side. And there is interaction back and forth with your avatar socially. But once we get to the little older demographic and we're beyond just education therapy, then we certainly want to go into the social interaction space, because we do have the capability for other participants to be in VR with them at the same time.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and that's relatively recently. And that can be a therapist or a parent or anybody else. So we are gearing towards it being more of a fully interactive with multiple participants in the long term.
That's great. I think that's really going to be helpful. How do you see technology assisting in vocational employment opportunities for people with autism?
Well, one of the biggest hurdles I think has been for that vocational process has been, what does the hiring and training procedure look like for any particular employer? And that process just might not work for somebody that's on the spectrum. Even though they may be a great candidate for the job, they may have the skills needed. That hiring and training process might be a barrier to entry for them. So how can we use technology to minimize and mitigate those barriers, to be more flexible in that hiring and onboarding and training process? And that's where we think that we really can come in to help an employer or assist the employer with that potential candidate by giving them another tool to use in that hiring and training process. And we can design an entire store in VR, and you can show a candidate how a store works, functions, interact with people in the store, all in VR before they have to be integrated into the physical space. And that's just an example. So we have certainly ways, and the technologies there to assist employers in the hiring and training process, to help accommodate them in a way that we can do now. That there's no reason this shouldn't be getting applied.
So you can sort of teach the employer and the employee at the same time.
Yeah, again, part of the employer educational process. So have to demonstrate to them the value of being flexible for this kind of thing.
You can teach an old dog new tricks. Okay.
But the stories, as we've seen, once employers do make that commitment to hiring people on the spectrum, I don't think I've heard of any negative impact about having them in their workspace. The stories you get about the quality of the employees they get, their work ethic, their lack of absenteeism, it works, but we just need to make it a more user-friendly process.
Good. Nice. What can AKIVA do in this vocational employment space to assist?
I think that the VR model that we have is a very kind of immersive way to potentially work through that hiring and training process. Because like I said, it's a very nurturing, comfortable environment. So, they can interview, they can interact, they can train all in VR. They can do it in other, they can do it in 2D, they can do it in other ways with existing technology. But VR, I think, has a potential, because of how immersive and engaging it is, to really get these kids, these candidates, to put their best foot forward and be able to demonstrate in VR the strength of their skills to any particular employer. So I think we could be a great platform for integrating those two.
Sounds like a lot of fun.
Well, that's part of it. It is a fun scenario. It is a fun environment, and we've made it to be fun and engaging.
I know my son's always wanting me to do it with him. So
yeah, again, I don't want to say we're beyond being able to adopt some of this cutting edge stuff, but it's very, very cool technology that's out there available now. And I think part of the hurdle that we have as a company is not enough people know about it, know about its potential, know that it's even there, and what it's capable of doing these days. And what a game changer it can make. So classic story, where the greatest little thing that nobody's heard about. So that's up to us to change.
Yeah, you should have like a demo right here. So maybe next time.
Yeah, we do have the videos and 2D versions that you can see on YouTube and things, but it just doesn't do justice. I always feel bad because of it looks like a cartoon, and when you see it on it, but when you're in it and you see the 3D fully immersive environment, it's really something.
Wow.
And it really captures the kid's attention, which is the whole point,
right? Well, you didn't give me enough questions. I'm trying to think of other things to ask you. Do you have other things that you want to share that you didn't cover?
Well, I don't want to be too self-promotional about our project. I think I've probably talked about it enough. This is about the World Autism Summit and what we all can do in this industry to move the needle, to raise awareness,
Mhm.
to broaden the scope of what we can do and who we can reach. So that's really the key point of this, is not my particular project. And if our project can help do that, well, that's job done.
Well, I think what you have to say is very important, and everybody is going to be here to want to learn about what you have to say too. So it's all about everybody here. And
Absolutely, it truly is a community, and that community, just like the problem, it doesn't know any boundaries, right? The community is a global community,
Mhm.
and integrating some of those other aspects of the global community into it is, that's a challenge, and that's up to us to make sure that we can accommodate that.
To break down barriers and not have silos and help everybody communicate better, get along better, and help move the needle. So
Yeah, we're all in the same boat. So
yeah,
it's not it shouldn't be a cultural, regional, linguistic,
no.
economic, demographic issue. We're all here
Mhm.
with the same struggles in various permutations. So we've all got to get our shoulder behind the wheel.
Right on. Well, thank you so much, Bill. You've
Nope,
been
my pleasure.
okay. Well, thank you for joining.
Thanks, Karen. Let me know what I can do.
Okay,
Take care. Thanks.
you too. Bye bye.